Sibongiseni Shange.
Yes, sir.
Shange engibazi oduma kude.
Duma kude.
Omtima.
Omtima.
Wena lo.
Yes.
No, Shange ngiyabonga kakhulu. Just as an introduction for people that don't know, you and I have bumped into each other a few times in Egoruleni.
Yeah.
And you told me about some really exciting work that you guys are doing at SANTACO.
For sure.
Siyansaba ke thina. We're very scared of SANTACO. When we think SANTACO, we think taxis, we think
Of course, yeah.
all these things. So even when I met you, I was like, hey, I must watch my words.
But I didn't look like that. Many people, you don't look SANTACO.
They're right, ne? It's like abantu abasupporti Pirates. Mawungathi usupporti Pirates bathi ayishange wena ngathi ulago Chiefs. Wakhanya nje wayi-yellow bone. Puti, I'm honored to have you here on the Penuel show, and I'd like us to start off with the official business of the house. You guys had a Lekgotla, an inaugural one, I believe, the first one. And I'd like you to just feel free to tell us how it came about, what were some of the resolutions and findings there. And then after we've exhausted that, we'll then go back and then ask Uti, Usibongiseni ubani, what is SANTACO about, etc.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for having me. Oh, okay. We had a Lekgotla 2020 September. Lekgotla was about recognizing what SANTACO is. It was called by Mbalula, who was the minister then of transport.
Minister Fikile Mbalula at the time.
Fikile Mbalula, yes.
Thank you.
So the reason why Mr. Fikile Mbalula called for that is because of he had to make sure that SANTACO get to be recognized for what it is, and it does. My responsibility it was given. 1996, Kaska Maharaj, SANTACO was recognized as a main mouthpiece of the industry.
This is Mac Maharaj.
Yeah, Mac Maharaj.
Okay.
But it never exercised its power.
Okay.
Based on the fact of the challenges and also the will from the ministers that came after Maharaj as well. So most of the people, they know SANTACO as minibuses. That's
taxis, just minibus taxis.
Yeah, minibus taxis. That's all they know about SANTACO. And SANTACO does not represent minibus taxis. It represents the taxi industry as a whole.
What is the
difference? If I say the taxi industry as a whole, anything that says taxi, it falls under SANTACO. So how I will explain that to you is, when it was recognized in their constitution, it does say that minibuses, midi-buses, and the metre-taxis.
Okay.
So metre-taxis were always there. It's just that the leadership of that time of the metre-taxis did not join and be active. So only the minibuses that were active.
Okay.
And then that sent the message that this is about the minibuses.
Sure.
Which at that time you would remember that metre-taxis were more of white people owned before 1994.
It's very exclusive.
Yes, it was very exclusive. Black people were just drivers.
Okay.
Yeah. So now
this was pre-94.
Pre-94.
Okay.
So now after 1994, and then that's when then black people took part, and then those drivers were now converted to be owner drivers.
Okay.
So now, as they were converted to be owner drivers, it was still white owned in terms of dominance and the leadership.
Yeah.
And also the knowing how to represent it. It was based on white people knowing where to go. So there was...
Sorry, to step up. Was this an initiative from government, or was this just people...
Just government.
Saying we need more black owners
government
in metre-taxis?
Just formalize the industry.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Formalizing the industry, people need to take part. So that's when then metre-taxis were recognized within the space of SANTACO. Like I'm saying, there was a company, there is a company that's called SAMTA. SAMTA, it was falling under the metre-taxis, but it was predominantly owned by Indians and whites.
Okay.
And it was represented by Indians and whites.
Okay.
So now, as time goes by, we went to Lekgotla. Lekgotla recognizes all the modes of the taxis within SANTACO, meaning that there are 5 formations within SANTACO. Minibus, metre-taxi, school transport, cross-border, and then basic bar women within SANTACO. So now, all these other modes or all these other formations are not much recognized out there because of the only time when the media attend to what's happening within SANTACO is when there is violence or when there is things that are negative about the industry. Not understanding that many and other things, many programs that are happening within SANTACO that are positive. I was not fully involved in SANTACO. I only started to be part of SANTACO 2019.
2019. Sure.
When they called us and say, guys, there is your chair here and it has been here for the longest time and you guys are not participating.
Yeah.
Then we came to SANTACO as SAMTIA. SAMTIA stands for South African Meter-Taxi and E-Hailing Association.
That's where you come from?
Yeah, that's where I come from.
From a meter-taxi background?
From the meter-taxi
joining
background,
SANTACO?
Joining SANTACO. So it's an affiliate of SANTACO.
Okay.
So now, how we come about as SAMTIA, South African Meter-Taxi and E-Hailing, is because of we come from a background of meter-taxis. But you would acknowledge that the industry or the market has completely changed based on the digital systems, based on the introduction of the e-hailing apps, the arrival of Uber, the shift of the market and the interest. It made our operators also shift because of what? The market moved to that side of people requesting. So if people are requesting, there's more convenience for people. And then obviously, you can't just stay in the stagnation whereby now there's no market anymore. So now we realize that our people are moving with times, and therefore, as we participated through the inputs of e-bill ekhuluma nge-technology and many other things in terms of the changing of the market. We also participated there at Cape Town, Parliament. So we made our inputs there. That we are not negative, we are not against the technology. Just that we have to have this being under control.
Yeah.
Because you will understand that with the meter-taxi, it was based on the people requesting, but exclusive, as you said. But the market was people who are doing business and people who are traveling. There were other requests for a rental vehicle or other requests for the meter-taxi.
Yeah.
But as time goes by, and then the introduction of the technology, many people saw this as an opportunity to participate. And also it became affordable because of why it became affordable? Because of the difference between the meter-taxi attitude and the e-hailing. E-hailing works on demand, supply, demand and supply. So meaning there must be more cars based on demand. And then the meter-taxi, it was a matter of people have a choice of requesting the meter-taxi. Also, the operators, they have no pressure because of there was a monopoly. There was no competition as such.
Yes.
You'll find that December time, places like the malls and casinos, they struggle with transport because people are driving their own cars.
Sure.
Come December time, they go home with their own car. So they're not running business. They're just doing it for survival.
Sure.
You understand? So now that frustrated the users, the commuters who are using meter-taxi because of you go to the casino December time, and then the woman at the desk, the partner with reception, ufuna transport for my guest. There's no transport. Where are the people? By Makai. and bahambe ngeemoto zabo. And then when you tell these people ukuthi hayi madoda there is a demand, hey umuntu uzokutshela ukuthi yena Khwezi nakahaya. So it was like a driver owner system.
Sure.
You understand? So the driver owner system worked against the industry because of the arrival of Uber came when people needed that service. So little did we know that it's not just a South African challenge.
Yes.
Also in other countries as well, it's the same thing. And this guy, the founder of Uber, then saw the opportunity, and then he came up with a system that is going to say this system will work on demand and supply.
Sure.
The more demand, the more supply. So obviously, when it came, it disrupted the market because of it was not legislated. So till now, we were used to what our operating license says. And then our operating license tell us how we should operate as compared to what the system e-hailing was doing, you understand?
Sure.
So there was resistance, obviously. But from our side as leadership, we saw that, okay, you can't actually be against a change and you can't force people to be stagnant and use you even though there is something better. So we started to have a conversation, engagement with Uber to find each other, to see how can we then collectively work together. But we couldn't. It couldn't work at that time. Some of other people, they had cars at Uber. Myself too, I had few cars at Uber. But comparing what we charge and what they charge, we could not understand.
It wasn't making any sense at all.
It was not making sense.
Even Namanj, it still doesn't make sense, some of the pricing.
It wasn't. You know why it's not making sense? It's because of what? There's influx of vehicles. It became worse by the introduction of Bolt, which were Taxify then. But by the way, Bolt came to us. Before it became Bolt, it was Taxify.
Sure.
They came to us, they wanted to partner with us.
As SANTACO, as Samtia?
No, as Samtia. Then it was just a metre-taxis at that time. They wanted to partner with us. But at that time, people did not understand why we're partnering with a technology company. This is our industry.
Yeah.
And we have been here for a longest time.
Yeah.
Why must we now report to you? Because they thought we're reporting to you now. A year or two, Taxify trying to work with the industry. And then they decided, no, let's disrupt the industry. Because of the industry is not willing. So let's do what Uber did. And then they went ahead and they came with a shot. Because of disrupting the industry from their side, it was a matter of which we will have influx of vehicles 2 minutes away. And then 2 minutes away, it then compromises the supply and demand because of, at the end of the day, how many cars are going to be there? So the piece of slice becomes very small.
Yeah.
And also there's no regulations that are being followed. It's just a matter of, as long as you have a car, download the app and then you're good to go.
Good to go.
So of which that compromises the what you call the regulations of the country.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is a long discussion because of the government is not actually putting controls into place because of the definition of an operator is a person who have an operating license in order to ferry people or to take people for a reward.
Yeah.
Once you take people for a reward without an operating license, it's illegal. But now, when the government was very lenient, I remember one day when we had a meeting with the minister, Fikile Mbalula, said, guys, you know what? Let me be honest with you. You might be correct when we're sitting here. You are correct. But at the end of the day, we are government. We look after the will of the people. And we look after the people that are users of this service. So now, you guys need to make sure that you cash your work up and do something in order to be relevant.
That was his response.
That was his response. But it was his response telling us in confidence that, yes, you are right. But at the end of the day, this is what people want. And the government will go with what people want. So now, ignoring the law and accepting or allowing the lawlessness.
It was a very dangerous thing for him to say, yes? Because I can almost point at so many examples of times when people have wanted something, but government has not allowed the people to do what they want.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think there are too many of government officials that are also involved in terms of buying cars and putting them on.
You're very right.
Yeah.
To benefit as well.
To benefit, yes.
They even own minibus taxis as well.
Well, that one I cannot confirm, but there are rumors about that. So at the end of the day, if you protest as a meter tax at that time, wanting the law to be enforced, the first visible person or first visible operation is a meter tax. So meaning that they will enforce the law towards yourself because of we are first visible, because of you got an operating starting point, you got an operating demarcation, and then they will start with you and they will impound your cars. And then you ask yourself, why are they impounding our cars? Because we're complaining about something. And then we end up seeing, okay, this is actually...
No, let's slow that down.
Yeah.
You're saying that you guys raised issues with the transport ministry and leadership in general.
Many times. It was many issues that were happening within the industry. People were dying, people were fighting, people were burning cars, people were frustrated and all that. All to find that from the point of government, they see what is happening, but to respond to it in terms of enforcing the law,
they were bullying you guys. Instead of coming in and listening to your complaints and trying to resolve them, instead...
No, they thought good to a T. Now we're not progressive. And they were even saying that you guys are not progressive. We need to be progressive.
But when you speak about impounding cars and those things, it sounds like they were trying to make your lives difficult instead of trying to help solve your problems.
No, we had to stop. We had to stop protesting on this. But nevertheless, and then the approach was different as the time goes by from our side. That let's be relevant. Let's see how can we make this work for us. How can we make this work for our members?
Yeah.
Because of course, times are changing. And it's this thing of technology and digital system came with the meter tax, and many people were laughing at the meter taxes and saying, "Hey, these guys they don't want to change."
Sure.
And then it affected the market here, the market's houses,
Airbnb,
of which those some of them they were laughing at us.
Today you've got I think it's Media 24, Naspers. They're closing a couple of newspapers.
Yes.
Came out in the news. So some of those people could have been laughing, but those newspapers won't exist.
Of course.
There's online now.
There might be some of them, they might have been laughing at us.
Yeah. And
also, you'll make an example with him. Do you remember the company that was called Kodak?
Kodak?
You can remember the company.
That does cameras and... Yes.
Yeah, the introduction of technology in terms of the smartphones killed them.
Killed Kodak.
So now, as much as we embrace technology, but at the same time, we need to position ourselves that it doesn't affect us negatively.
Yeah.
So now, this decision that we have made, that let's position ourselves that we're not the victim. Instead, let's try and work with the local tech companies.
I'd like to ask a very sneaky question, and I apologize that I'm putting you in this in this funny spot. Between the two, who do you think has bullied you guys more into accepting technology, government or the tech companies themselves?
Well, the tech companies, let me answer it this way. The tech companies, they had to penetrate the industry by what? By obviously distracting the
Sure.
Yeah. So now the government were supposed to respond.
Correct.
Based on the law.
Yeah.
And the government did not, up until now, did not respond according to the law.
Yeah.
But now that bill has been signed. Ramaphosa signed a bill about a week ago that's got to do with e-hailing.
What do you mean a week ago? Today is the
a week ago.
Today is the 18th of June.
Yes.
2024.
Yeah, he signed it a week ago. If I'm not mistaken, it should be about 2 weeks ago. But he signed the bill.
Regarding e-hailing?
It regards many things, but
okay.
the e-hailing as well, it has been passed into law.
What was the bill and what were the implications?
No, it doesn't say much. Whatever that we have been, our inputs in terms of, as far as the technology is concerned,
sure.
I think we're taken into consideration because of, it's only the definition.
Yeah.
It does not say much about the difference between the meter taxi and the e-hailing. It's still under Section 66, of which it says the e-hailing is technology, is electronic hailing.
Okay.
That you can request the vehicle that is takes less than 9 people.
Okay.
Either by the system, which is an app,
yeah,
or by hailing. So meaning hailing, and then it explained that is the car that it can operate in terms of roaming or it operates in terms of being e-hailing.
Okay.
You understand? So now that means that you can either request using the app,
sure,
or request using your WhatsApp,
okay,
or request using an email,
sure,
or request
phone call maybe,
or phone call.
Yeah.
So it does not restrict you that you must only use the e-hailing.
Sure.
Of which with the meter taxi it was like that. It was based on the fact that you request either by using a phone call or either by, you know, the thing, a radio, whereby having an office and phoning the office, then the office will phone the driver,
sure,
something like that.
Sure.
Yeah, either by that or otherwise. So the definition of the operation is about you connect with the customer,
yeah,
at the convenience of the client,
yeah,
and you go pick up the client.
Yeah.
So now it does not restrict you to must only have the e-hailing.
I'm trying to figure out Zuguti, whatever Ramaphosa signed, what was the change from before and then after he signed it?
I didn't see any change other than the inclusion of e-hailing.
Of e-hailing,
yes,
in this industry.
In terms of the definition.
Or that now Ramaphosa signed a bill which now is inclusive of e-hailing.
Yes.
Almost as a legal thing now that you can do.
Yes, it's legal now. It's now legal. But again, stress, I would say, you must have a permit.
It says in the bill.
Yeah, you must have a permit. You can't operate without a permit.
A permit is what? A PDP?
A permit is an operating license.
Is that
PDP is got to do with the driver. Okay, there's a difference between a driver and the operator.
Okay.
The operator is me. Me being a person that applies to operate.
Okay.
And if I apply to operate, I apply to operate in a certain municipality.
Okay.
So let me say I come from Ekurhuleni. So I apply to operate in Ekurhuleni. I'll make an example. Maybe in a town like Brakpan and a town like Benoni.
Yeah.
So I see there's a market there. Then I apply to operate and I identify the place that I'm going to operate from.
Yeah.
As a starting point.
Yeah.
Then the government, and then if I apply, the municipality will then look at that. And then after looking at that, they'll have to check if there is a market there. And then after checking there is a market, they'll then approve it. That's it called granting. They will grant it. And granting it, and then you use a gazette. And then we gazette, if people operate around there, they will be affected, and then they'll write my inputs, what they're against it or not. But if there's no one, then they'll issue the operating license to you. In this case, sometimes, let's say you're operating, like for instance, myself, I operate from Kanwa City Casino. You speak to the casino or you speak to the mall, and then we have an agreement. Would they need this kind of service? And then they demarcate the place where you're going to operate from.
Yeah.
And then they grant you a letter that you're going to take to the municipality, that you are in partnership.
Yeah.
And then the municipality will then grant the operating license for you. When you have an operating license, then you are an operator. But
this is what's existed with meter taxis. E-hailing came and they didn't follow
this. They didn't follow
process.
all those things.
Okay.
So the driver with a PDP,
Yeah.
it's just a driver that must be checked that you are fit to drive passengers.
Okay.
So it's not an operator.
Okay.
So an operator will have a operating license for the vehicle. So the operating license belongs to the vehicle.
Okay.
Yes.
No, I'm listening. Sorry.
Yes, for sure.
We're still speaking about the Lekgotla that you guys had,
Yes.
and some of the outcomes. I don't know if you're still giving us a background or if this is part of.
This is part of it. Just that I want to focus more on the future of the industry.
Okay.
So the Lekgotla, the resolution that came with the Lekgotla
This is still from September 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
The resolutions that came out of the Lekgotla was unity and leadership.
Okay. Lekgotla is Sotho, Tswana
It's
word
Sotho Tswana word
for a gathering, for a meeting.
Ukhukulela ngoqo, which means ngesiZulu sothini. Yeah, ukhukulela ngoqo yini. Lekgotla yini konje ubala umSotho la.
What's Lekgotla? It's not a gathering or a meeting.
Imbizo, yes.
Yini imbizo? It's a gathering.
It's a gathering, yes.
To discuss.
To discuss and take decisions.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the resolutions were about unity and leadership. So unity, it means everyone that operates in an industry of it takes.
Yeah.
We need to recognize them in terms of leadership, in terms of the operation. We need to coexist. This thing of others, because of their this mode, and then they bullying the other mode, must come to an end. We need to coexist. So the perfect example about that is the province of KZN.
Yeah.
When coming to inclusiveness of other modes.
Yeah.
They are part and parcel. We leadership of the taxi industry.
Okay.
Led by Ubaba Upoizond. Meaning we POB, they sit together, provincial office bearers, they sit together, are being represented. And then we PEC, provincial executive committee, they sit together. So at every level to the regions as well, they are being recognized. So there were other regions that were kind of not educated about it.
Yeah.
But now he made sure that he educates them. That these people are our people.
Okay.
Including Nale bill as well being signed. I believe he had a meeting with them recently and then he told them these people are no longer illegal. So it's a matter of how you position yourself in order to be part and parcel of the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't be against now, but you need to position yourself. It's not his words, but it's my words in terms of where the industry is going. And then basically, professionalization of the industry. You will acknowledge that the industry has been operating the way it has been operating for the longest time. Professionalism has been compromised as some ranks.
This is specific to metre-taxis or
No,
as
no,
a general?
I'm talking about the industry.
SANTACO as a whole, the 5 levels you spoke about.
Yes.
Okay.
Not
levels, sorry, the 5
formations. Yeah,
sure.
We need to professionalize the industry.
Okay.
So now a lot of training needs to be done. Hence, Tina as Samtia, we have partnered with TITA. TITA being Transport Educational Training Authority. We have partnered with TITA. The partnership with TITA goes like this. We want to make sure that our fleet owners within the space of e-hailing and meter-taxi are being empowered to run a business as business, not as business as just for survival. That has been happening with a driver owner take his car to Limpopo and assume business in Jalo. So now, why are we doing this? We recognize that the introduction of e-hailing was more focused on the driver, not on the fleet owner.
Okay.
So now, we have done an exercise whereby now, if we are a fleet owner, we are able to sustain the business and we are able to monitor how a business runs on day-to-day basis. And the driver is able to be paid accordingly because the drivers, they get 30% of commission, meaning after all the expenses, the driver will get 30%. So now that is sustainable. We pay our drivers every after fortnight. Every after 2 weeks, we pay our drivers.
Are you saying again, this is general?
No. Right now, I'm talking about the partnership we have with TITA.
Okay.
In terms of empowering.
Sure. The professionalization of the industry. But you're speaking general industry.
I'm talking about some tier now.
Oh, just the meter taxis.
The meter taxi.
I was asking about this 30% commission.
Okay. No, the 30% commission is with some tier.
Okay.
That's what we
okay, that's meter taxis.
Meter taxis, okay. Yes. So that one is more sustainable as compared to what has been happening. You find the person, the old man of 65 is still driving. And this old man, when he retires, or he can't retire, he's 65, he still has to drive his car.
Yeah.
And that does not speak to the market. Young people don't want to be driven by old people.
How?
In a way that young people, they go to places whereby back over, they don't want to be charged.
I hear you.
So they want to engage.
Sure.
When they come to your car, they'll ask you about, hey, Bluetooth.
Bluetooth.
Yeah, Bluetooth there. And then
there's no Bluetooth, yes, from the 80s.
And then the old person wants to be respected.
Ufuna ukulalela ukhozi at night indaba.
Bogena la ungena uphapha. Uba offended. Lezi ingane ayihloniphi.
I hear you.
You understand? That's why we need to move these old people or move the operators from driving so that they must speak the language of running the business as an entrepreneur. And then the drivers must speak the language of drive. And drivers must be disciplined and also must be trained in a way that how they respond to customers. Because of you will know in the space of e-hailing right now, whereby the drivers bafaka ophaca, bafaka ikindi.
Sure, ophaca is slippers, thongs. I think they call thongs as well. Flip-flops.
Yeah, flip-flops. Yeah.
And
shorts.
Like that,
and shorts.
Yeah.
And then the car is not even clean.
Sure.
It's because of drivers. They're operating as if they are operators. They're operating in a space whereby now, baz laul. They do what they like.
Sure.
Can't if they are being employed, you give them a code of conduct. This is how you treat people. But you can't just discipline them. You need to go through training them.
Yes.
The issue of training in this country is very important. People, they don't even understand what they have to respect customers.
Yes.
They don't even understand that who makes my business a business. They don't understand that. They somehow think
yes, very sadly.
Yeah.
Very sadly.
So if we don't understand those basics, how are we going to run the business and sustain it? So now we've got a lot to do. That's why we're partnering with TITA, so that we must train our drivers, we must train our entrepreneurs, which is our owner drivers, to understand that.
Yeah.
In order to sustain a business, this is what is expected of you. And also, you'll find on the issue of an owner driver, we'll find the owner driver speaking the language of drivers. Ekhuluma ngama-price. Time man Uber, a charger, 30 rand or 40 rand and all that. Wenzani ngo 40 rand. You understand? And then I told Uti, that language is not the language that you must be speaking at our level as owners. At our level, we need to speak about the earnings.
Yes.
Not necessarily the pricing.
Yeah.
Because those are two different things.
I hear you.
So now, if you have a driver, trips, 50 rand, 70 rand, 50 rand, 70 rand, then you have a driver that says, I don't take these trips. It's 70 rand, 50 rand. Now I will take a trip from 100.
Only. Cancel all the rest.
So what happens to the need of the client? It's being compromised. Bahlala becancel my trip.
Correct.
Cancel my trip, they're frustrating the industry. Today, as a Penuel, you can request Uya Airport, which is going to be 200 and something or 300 and something.
Yeah.
But tomorrow, you don't want to go to the airport. You want to go to the mall next to you. So does it mean that you're no longer a good client just because of you going to the nearest place? So now, you find that the service is compromised because of the language. Also the influence. So now, moving them from there and then making them managing the system, it will help us. Because of, you can't compare the two of them. The owner driver has invested money by buying a vehicle.
Yeah.
A driver can leave anytime.
Correct.
And it has been happening. They come and go, or they exchange. Today they're driving for you, tomorrow they're driving for Tebogo.
Yeah.
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 So now if he's not happy with Tebogo, over street, we are share pants,
Sure.
you understand? Because of what? He does what he wants. So now that's a different language altogether. You mean the driver that is cancelling all these Molanyana trips, he might take an hour to get a longer trip. So if he take an hour to get a longer trip, as I said to you, this system works on demand and supply.
Yeah.
The driver that takes all the trips near him, he makes money more than the driver that waits for the longer trip.
Yeah.
Because it depends on time.
Yeah.
How long it takes for you to make how much.
Yeah.
If it takes this driver who accepts Polanyana trips 1 hour to make 250, as compared to this one who decline all the trips, and it takes him 4 hours to make that money.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you'll find the other driver that is declining all the trips. He's been on for 12 hours being online, but doesn't make money enough as compared to this one.
Yeah.
That's why I'm talking about the language, earning and pricing. Those are two different things.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, us as the meter takes, I know we have been very stubborn when coming to that part, whereby now we don't take smaller trips and we don't actually service the customer ngafuna ukubhadala imali eningi.
Yeah.
Then you stay at the rank the whole day. Or you stay at the rank utatama trip or two, which is local trip, 70 rand. You go and drop off, come back, wait, another 4 hours, another 70 rand.
Yeah.
Does it make business sense? It's because of what? We are owner driver.
Yeah.
You can't be told. It's your own car.
Sure.
But if you have a driver, my brother is the one that is doing operation most in terms of monitoring. He will look at the screen, he will ask the driver, why are you not online yet? It's 6:30. The driver knows that you're getting 6:30.
Yeah.
Don't get 5.
Yeah.
And then the driver is given an opportunity to take a break after 10:30 to 11. Ngoba ngithi demand is here.
Goes down, yeah.
It goes down.
Yeah.
He knows that he mustn't take more than an hour to be online. He will phone them, why are you still not online?
Yeah.
He'll be online. And then, based on the experience, he will advise the drivers where we should be at what time. You can't be at a place where by now you're gonna park under the tree and then there's no trips.
Yeah.
So now, that control yenza ukuthi kube sustainability within the industry.
Yeah.
But if there's no control, you will find drivers protesting. You must have seen them protesting, being against the system, being against this and that. And it's because of what? They don't understand.
Sure.
Not necessarily that we are comfortable with how these tech companies are charging, the pricing. It needs to be regulated.
And they take commission, I think 20 to 30% as well. If you're doing a 40 rand trip,
yes,
at 30%, 12 rand is gone.
It's gone, yes. It needs to be regulated, but now also the bill that has been signed speaks about regulation from the minister and the MEC.
Okay.
So now it needs to be regulated. We need to sit down, do some analysis in terms of the market.
Yeah.
You can't just thumbsuck and say, "Aye, sikupula ngo 20 rand."
Sure.
You need to sit down and be realistic. But at the end of the day, if you then raise my prices too much, and then you lose the market. Yeah, because of people it's not like they are desperate to use you.
They're not desperate, and they also don't have money.
They don't have money. Yes,
Yeah.
the market right now, people don't have money. So now the system, it works like this. It creates demand. Sometimes you might have noticed that it gives them a discount.
Sure.
giving those discounts is a way of marketing in a way that it creates a demand. People see that it's affordable.
It's cheap, so let me actually
Let me actually request.
Yeah.
Then you request, you go to the mall. When you come back, it's no longer that price.
Yeah.
It's a different price when you come back. So now, there must be some kind of mechanisms and strategies of creating demand.
Sure.
You can't just think the market is yours anymore. No, it does not work like that. So now, we need to educate our people in terms of understanding that it has completely changed. Your children, maybe they've never went to the rank. Your children. They've never been in a minibus. So now, meaning the shifting of industry is shifted to what? Your children using data to request, not using voice. Children of today, they hardly call using voice.
Correct.
They use data. So now, if they're using data to request, can you imagine 5 to 10 years from now, what it's going to be in terms of the market? Because it's all about mobility and convenience. So now, I'm trying to say to you is, we might not qualify to analyze the market, what's going to happen in 5 years to come, in 10 years to come. That's why we need to not be emotional and be personal. And then we need to speak to people who are equipped to do that. So, like for instance, in South Africa, it's kind of thing, we react. And when we react emotionally.
That is true.
And then when we react emotionally, there's no study, there's no research that has been done.
Yeah, we're just angry that things are not the way they were before.
Yes. So now we need to invest in young children doing these things in terms of research and all that.
Forecasting, projecting, coming up with plans.
Yeah, coming up with plans. Not just...
Let's just get angry and protest and shut down the highway.
It does not work like that anymore. Especially when coming to SANTACO. SANTACO has been given a responsibility to self-govern and self-sustain. And SANTACO is a mouthpiece of the industry. And SANTACO is the apex of the industry. Hence, you will see that there are less protests from SANTACO. Why would SANTACO go to the street if they have not spoken to the government? You have the government in front of you. The government can allow you to come to them and discuss matters. So now, why you go to the street?
When we're available, come speak to us.
Yes. When you can influence the policies. Again, that's why we went for the policy conference. Because all we had was a constitution. So we didn't have policies that are guiding us on how do we speak or how do we run our businesses. So now if you don't have a policy, so meaning you don't have a contract with people. So at the end of the day, if we need to clean our house first before we can point fingers. But there must be a will from government as well to work with us, of which that has been happening, I must say, even though they don't respond as quick as you would like. But the previous, this outgoing administration, we've been okay with them there and there, I should say. But the challenge was on us. How do we implement our own policies? How do we influence that? So we can't just blame and blame and blame and blame. Okay. The other one is corporatization of the industry. The industry has been working as individual owned. Mina, in 20, I look at myself and my family. I must add the motors, this is 150, 100 and what. As my family, umlotshwa naye uyeza naye ufuna ukuba nemoto eziningi ukudlula mina.
Correct.
You understand? So now we end up fighting for power rather than building the value chain within the industry as the industry is supposed to be. So now that compromises what? Formalization of the industry. Because of now, I look at myself. I don't look at the industry. I invest in me and my family. I don't invest in the future and the legacy of the industry. So that's one. That's what we're talking about in terms of formalization and corporatizing the industry.
Sure.
Find a government that got a policy that says we need to work with you in terms of subsidizing you as an industry. If they come to us and wanting to subsidize us, we are individuals. We are scattered. So the policy government does not speak to subsidizing individuals. And also for a longer time, we've been confined to understand that the operation of the industry is based on a vehicle. Why that is in our mind is because of what? It depends on how many cars you have in order for you to be bigger than the other. Kandi, the operation does not depend on the vehicle and the mode. It depends on the mobility.
Yeah.
The whole ecosystem within the industry is linked to each other. That's
correct.
why we need to coexist. That's why they call it ezinye imoto ezincane ukuthi ama-feeders. If ukuthi Gautrain is there as Gautrain, it won't be able to operate if there's no feeders.
Correct.
You understand?
People need to get to the Gautrain somehow.
Yes, somehow people need to get to the Gautrain. We need to transport people there, the small cars. And also, the stagnation of having ranks. Some people don't want to go to the rank. And yet they use taxis. But they can't walk there. They need feeders to go to the rank.
Sure.
That is what we call a last mile, whereby now we'll have a child coming from KZN at Angene Kumbin, travel all the way Uya University, a Pretoria, right? This child you sebenzisa in NSFAS.
Sure.
This child would transport her from KZN to Pretoria Station, which is the biggest rank.
Yes.
Then Joshua Lab needs to go to the place where she's going. So now, the industry need to interconnect. It can't just be mina ngimine bus, wena metre-taxis, angifuni tuze kwami. So which means you compromise the need of the client.
Yeah. And that's a very difficult conversation, but yeah.
It is not difficult because of we sit together now.
It's now.
Yes.
But it was before.
Yeah, before. I mean...
But you're also dealing with individuals, so even if the policy says this, kusazoba khona that.
Are we getting there?
Okay.
We're getting there. People are understanding now what we actually need each other.
Okay.
Just that when you implement these things or you're coming up with these things, it's all about what is in it for me. Correct. So if you come with something that is going to affect others without them being part of it, obviously they will resist because of I mean, you're taking from me. But if you say, okay, here's the bill, it's been signed.
Yeah.
It says this, and then it does not exclude you.
Sure.
You can also have cars. It does not necessarily mean that if you have minibuses, you can't have small cars that are operating on e-hailing. You're an operator at the end of the day. So if you speak that language, a person is willing to listen because of what? He's actually adding onto his income as compared his income being subtracted. So now, also the issue of big cars versus small cars. You will find that big cars are very expensive to pay. They pay about 16,000, 18,000 per month and all that. But to which the market is saturated, to which the motor ends at 2 trips per day or 3 trips per day because of military lazy and they give each other a chance.
What's a big car? You talk about minibus taxis?
Minibus, yes.
Okay. And you talk about the repayments, that's 16 to 18,000?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So now, if you then approach and say to about abadala, no, if I give you a small car, of which is a small engine, it's a 1 liter engine, the fuel consumption is less, and you do a metre-taxi e-hailing service with that car, and that car makes about 1,600 per day.
Sure.
Now you minus on that car 350 for fuel, and then you are left with more or less 1.2 after deducting the data for the app. So now your take home is more or less 1,000 rand. And then you will pay your driver in fortnight 30%.
Sure.
That is equivalent to the big car that is taking more fuel and making only 2 trips or 3 trips.
Sure.
But you're paying more in terms of the installment.
Yeah.
And also, you can't control it. This one is systematically controlled.
Sure.
You understand?
Sure.
So now, if you have a conversation with abantu abadala in that way, they are willing to listen. And they are willing to say, okay, kanti manje silindeni, why singayi umuntu lena?
Sure.
You understand?
Sure.
But if this thing here, if Eliza nje, ubona nje influx of vehicles running around, taking customers, obviously they get hurt. Manje benzani labafana?
Sure.
You understand? So now those are the kind of conversations esinazo njengamanje within the industry. Ukubonisana ukuthi okay, the market is shifting from this side to this side, and then we need all to be part of it. Okay, the other one, in terms of the Lekgotla, let me just think.
No problem. I've also got it here in front of me if you want.
Okay, yeah, sure. Please remind me.
Leadership and unity you've covered. We've spoken about formalization and corporatization as one.
Yes.
You spoke about professionalization and TITA and the training.
Yes.
Technology and innovation, the ecosystem within the industry, and you mentioned electric cars.
Let me talk about the technology.
Sure.
We have tried to work with our own local tech companies. The space of the e-hailing space is very competitive.
We used to have Zebra at some point. I think it was under SA Taxi.
I was part of
Zebra.
I was part of the what you call the initiative of that. They contacted us, me and Mabote. It's okay.
You and?
Mabote. Yeah. This was my friend who's been in the industry for the longest time.
Sure.
To do a study and before they implement that, they wanted to know how the industry works and all that.
It was under SA Taxi, no?
SA Taxi, yes.
Sure.
But you know what? People who have money now,
sure,
and people who are educated, they tend to think that research or education works everywhere. Kanti industry is practicality that works. It's not about how educated you are. It's about how practical that can work.
Street smarts versus book smarts.
Yes.
The age-old conflict.
So we're coming together with them, and then after employing my CEO and what, they decided, okay, they will implement this on their own way. But this is the industry. Branding the vehicles was their downfall. It's good to brand your vehicle.
Yeah.
When it's authorized.
Okay.
It has a permit and everything.
Yeah.
It's good. It's visible. You understand? It's easy to identify. You can trust it. It's good. It's a good concept.
Yeah.
But it must be authorized to do what you branded it for. If it doesn't have a permit, it's not authorized to operate. You understand?
Yeah.
So doing what is good and not following the legal steps, it can backfire and work against you.
Sure.
So now
you were speaking about you've tried to work with local technology companies.
On that PowerPoint of Zebra was one of them because of they implemented also e-app.
Sure.
But it's not as easy space, this. You must remember that these other foreign companies are funded.
A lot.
I
wanted to mention, you mentioned Taxify/Bolt.
Yes.
Which was founded by, I think it's brothers, Marcus and Martin Willig.
Yeah.
Uber, you spoke about the founders there. It was Travis Kalanick and Garrett Camp. And these companies, by the way, they ran at billions in losses for many years. I don't even know if they've made a profit yet.
Yes.
Then at some point for a very short period, we had Didi.
Yeah.
Which was actually Chinese from the Beijing Didi Shujing company founded by Sheng Wei.
Yes.
I think at some point they were funded by Alibaba, if I'm not mistaken. But these are companies that have billions to burn over a while to try and corner a market.
Of course. And then think of yourself if you want to compete. there's no way that you can, if you do the proper research, why you want to compete with those companies instead of coexisting. You can't compete.
You
Instead,
cannot compete.
Find a way of how to enter the market, depending on what concept of business concept you're coming up with. But if you want to do the very same thing, the question is, I've been using this particular company. Why you?
Sure.
And if you then tell people, I'm local.
Proudly South African.
That's
not a good enough selling point.
No. That does not work. People
proudly black.
They think about themselves.
Yeah. And their pockets.
Their pockets.
Yeah.
It's about that. So that's why all these companies, they didn't make it. Some of the companies, they came to us thinking that if we sign with SANTACO, then maybe there will be some kind of protection and all that. Maybe we'll shut down the competition.
Yeah.
No. That's not how we work. People might think of SANTACO from the distance, thinking that if we have violence, we stop people.
Sure, no. Guys want to shut down Uber and Bolt, so we can win.
That's not. It's a matter of, okay, what is in it for commuters?
Yeah.
How is this going to be sustainable? And you can have an app. Everyone can have an app. But how do you get customers to your app?
Yeah.
Is a question.
Yeah.
So now, if you can't get customers to your app, how then are you going to compete? If you want us to stop people from operating, do you know you've got a constitution? As I said to you that we've been given a responsibility to govern and sustain the industry. So then we can't then have a concept that says you stop others from operating.
And monopolize.
We can't have that. We need something that is sustainable because of our bosses are our customers.
Yeah.
So we need to respect our bosses.
My apologies. I hope I don't throw you off. We still speak about technology and innovation.
Yes.
There's a friend of mine, SK Khumalo, very young, very dynamic guy. He's in the tech space, and he created an app a couple of years ago called Khwezi.
Yes.
And I think he may have sat with some of the guys in SANTACO, some of the big bosses, I think all the way to KZN and the Kaba family, etc. His idea was to take this Uber concept into minibus taxis so that a person can go on an app and can see all the taxis that are moving.
Yeah.
You can hail a normal taxi based on a route, or it will show you the closest one. Ezohamba Malibongwe or Bears is here, and it will even give a price.
Yeah.
And what he wanted to do later was to also add a payment function, so that when you request, you pay on the app, and then taxi as now I'm a customer like corner, so and then we'll keep moving.
That falls under transformation in as far as the declarations are concerned.
My concern with him, and one of the things I raised, because he managed to raise, I think, a couple of million in funding.
Yeah.
I was like, well done, but the space that you're competing in outside of transport and taxis, the app and technology space, Uber, Airbnb, we can even add Facebook and Amazon.
Yeah.
These companies were funded with billions of dollars.
Yeah, for sure.
Dollars, American dollars, not rands.
Yeah.
You haven't even raised $1 billion here.
Yeah.
But the idea was something great. And I'm only raising it now in this context, and maybe it's going to be something to consider for the future of how do you add something like that.
There are many other companies that came up with that concept.
And then there was another guy, I forgot his name. His idea was to, and I'm only adding this as we don't need to discuss it, but just for the conversation, for anyone who's going to want to unpack this. The idea of creating an app like Pep Paxi.
Yeah.
So Pep has a courier service.
Yeah.
You go to Pep, you put a product there and then you move it.
Yeah.
But something like that which incorporates, whether it's meter-taxis, minibus taxis, and have a courier service that tracks and adds you, because you guys are in logistics.
Yeah, for sure.
Human beings is the one thing you transport, but there's also goods as well.
It's actually happening. And it has been happening for the longest time. Let me make an example about my experience. We went to KZN one day for another project, whereby we forgot a SARS certificate.
Sure.
this site, and we were going to have a presentation the following day.
Yeah.
But we made a call. Ukuthi akuhanjiswe lento le erenkeni.
Sure.
Yahanjiswe erenkeni, I think about 6, 7. By 8 o'clock, sayithola.
That arrived.
Yeah, a KZN.
Yeah.
So now, this has been happening.
We've been using informal courier service,
yes.
especially taxi, because it's the fastest.
Of course.
You go to a taxi rank, if it takes you Laisha from Joburg to Newcastle,
Yeah.
whatever time it's going to take, 3 hours, is
Yes.
how fast.
It's faster than PEP.
It's faster than anything
But,
because
I'm
there's
telling
no
you-
stopping points. It's from
Yes.
here to there, straight.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
just that it's informal.
Sure.
I'm telling you how we don't recognize our power as the industry. And being informal is working against us.
Sure.
Even myself, my wife is doing t-shirts for SANTACO.
Okay.
And then people are ordering from as far as Free State,
Yeah.
far as Northwest.
Yeah.
Then you tell them that must I use a taxi or must I use a PEP?
Sure.
They would be comfortable to say, use PEP.
Jeez.
You know why? It's formalized.
It's formalized.
You know why? It will give them a message.
Yeah.
And then they will know when the parcel is there.
Correct. Even if it takes a couple of days.
Even if
versus
versus that.
one day.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of formalizing it. It's just a matter of our young people coming into the space of saying, you know what, let's participate.
Yeah.
But now you find that our young people, they are scared to come to us. They're scared to come to the industry and be part. But now it's
No, we're
happening.
very scared. I won't lie. Well, I'm not young anymore. But yeah, we've been very scared of your industry.
No, but the thing is now, that's why now we find these foreign tax taking over.
Correct.
Yeah, because of now, I will make an example with what? After COVID, less and less people are going to the malls because of companies like Checkers. They became creative in terms of introducing the 60-60 parcel
Sure.
delivery.
Sure.
So now, that is our industry. It's being affected. How is it being affected? Because of what? A person that was supposed to request is no longer going to request. So less and less trips because of the technology. So now we need to be proactive and involve young people and say, okay, where is the industry going? How can we shift and how can we, position ourselves that we don't become victims?
By the way, this is one of the reasons why I invited you here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sharing just one of the secrets. It's because I wanted people to know that you guys are not scary. There can be a beautiful, friendly face in SANTACO that you can kind of approach.
Yeah.
And to encourage young people to get involved, because this industry, there must be a handful of black people in particular who have never been on a taxi in this country.
Yes.
It's affected all of us. It affects all our families. And at some point, we need to get involved before we lose it like the spaza shops.
Yeah, for sure. And we're losing it slowly because of now that, making an example, check us 60-60. 60-60 now is what you call SPA.
Sure.
Now
to you.
Yes.
I know Maponya, one of my friends said they stole his concept with the to you. But SPA to you, Woolies Dash, Pick and Pay, ASAP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when coming to these things of concepts, stealing your concept, everyone, even myself.
No, specifically the to you part, because he's got a company called To You Foods. And then he's worked with some of the guys at SPA, and he feels like they just that name.
Yeah.
And the
they
idea.
took it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, right now where I'm going is we approached SPA, me and my wife, talking about groceries. We have a lot of professionals that are working, are doing day-to-day jobs whereby they're working at 8 o'clock, they knock off at 5, they arrive at home about 6 o'clock and all that. Those professionals, I'm talking about women in this case, they don't have time to go and do groceries.
Sure.
So now, the weekend that they get, they want to spend time with their children. They don't want to go to the malls.
Yeah.
So now, we wanted to introduce the smart shopping. Smart shopping being is women will be involved in terms of doing groceries for women who are staying, especially more complexes.
Sure. I wanted to mention that with meter taxis, when you're speaking about old people, and speaking to your market, that I appreciate the fact that we're finding more female drivers in the meter taxi space, because some women, you're drunk, you're somewhere feeling unsafe, and the last thing you want is to be in a car with another man because you're triggered.
A mandate from government that we should have at least 40% of women
in the space.
So
to what you're saying now, having women shop on behalf of women, specifically for complexes, just that dynamic,
But we needed what? Like we needed someone to listen and the will, in terms of having an app, something that will speak to the people.
Yeah.
And also this thing of black people don't trusting something that comes with another black person.
Sure.
The stigma is still there. You talk to the people and you see you're coming up with this. Okay, but if good is on a checkers, wow, now you're
Pagat.
Yeah. And then it was supported.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not talking as a victim here, but it's reality.
It is the reality.
So now
there's a psychological block that many black people still need to overcome.
Of course.
Yeah.
Now that checkers has tasted the market, they now have small cars. They do have those small cars. I don't know if those cars bus charger as Zama EVs as well, but the way they look, there's like Zama EVs.
EVs, electric vehicle.
Electric vehicles.
Sure.
It's by now electric vehicle, the small. La park rent.
Yeah.
By now the electric vehicle, small and one.
Yeah.
They're charging it with the normal electricity.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is, our market is being chowed. We're not being aware.
Yeah.
Ukuthi kunemoto ezinokupaka lapha the whole day. Zipakiswa yini? It's because of what? The market is shifting.
You're right.
You understand?
I wanted to ask, sorry, when you were speaking about Checkers 60 and these others, you spoke about taxis, SANTACO and taxis as a general, minibus taxis, meter taxis. And I wanted to ask if you guys would consider adding things like scooters, tuk-tuks. I don't know if that's part of any discussions you guys have had, especially if you travel to Asia, they have many different modes of transport. And if you'd maybe consider, because I can imagine the cost of, today we've got Bajaj.
Yes.
That tiny, I think it's Indian car.
Sure.
We had tuk-tuks come in as well. I can only imagine the cost of a bus, big bus, versus the cost of a minibus taxi, versus the cost of a car, versus the cost of a Bajaj, versus the cost of a tuk-tuk, versus the cost of someone being like, I'm calling a scooter because it's much cheaper. I'm going to sit on the back of this guy and they'll transport me because it's only a 2-kilometer distance I'm going.
Yes. With some tier,
Yeah.
our focus is mobility.
Sure.
Remember I spoke about modes.
Yeah.
Modes, the creation of modes, it was based on the instrument or the vehicle. Minibus becomes a mode
Sure.
because of the vehicle
Yes.
and how it operates
Yes.
from the rank routes. That's why it became a mode.
Sure.
Meter taxi, because of the instrument, the meter, it became a mode.
Yes.
Because of what? The operation is based on the meter. And then comes a scholar because of schools. But you know what? When coming to thinking about mobility, we need to move away from just thinking about
The instrument.
Yeah.
That's where we start thinking about the future and
Yes.
opening our minds up.
Of course, yes.
What are we trying to achieve? A person's trying to move themselves or good from A to B.
Yes. I'll make an example right now.
Yeah.
We're talking about a friendly green environment,
Yeah.
of which we need to cut down on carbon
Emissions.
Yes. You're talking scooters. If you're talking scooters, yes, they are there. There are many.
Yeah.
I'm a scooter right now. But 10 years, what are we saying? If we be introducing something that is going to be too many on a road, and then it defeat the purpose of green environment. So now that's why Tina and Samtia, we met a week ago with a guy. I can't speak about his company, but he has been involved with aviation for a longest time, 27 years. He's from Soweto.
Okay.
So now we wanted to know from his side, what is his take about the drone system?
Yeah.
Whereby now we can implement systems whereby now we can deliver food, deliver parcels, small parcels using drones.
Drones, yeah.
Yes. So I thought it was something impossible. I thought it's something that is going to say, I know it's going to take long. Because
Sure.
in many cases, when you talk to people who are in authority, they will tell you, this thing will take 10 years. That country is not developed, what. Then you ask yourself, who must start to take a risk?
Yeah.
So now the guy said, no, it's doable. It's just that there's a lot of compliance.
Yeah.
And it will take about a year to comply. Anything that's got to do with flying things is got to do with compliance.
Sure.
But it's doable. Because of what are we looking at, Penuel? We're looking at coming up with solutions.
For mobility.
We don't want to be chasing, now checkers are doing this, now we're chasing.
Constantly waiting.
No, we don't want that. And then we'll react after that if it does not work in our favor. So now that's why we're saying, okay, let's look at how can we then position ourselves in a way that there are drones. In other developed countries, kunama flying taxis.
Flying taxis.
Yes. Developed countries, they got flying taxis. Mature research. Whereby now, because of this is not being regulated, it's not being allowed to take place. It's all about regulations. But people have actually created flying taxis. So it might take long to regulate it.
Sure.
But if it then is being regulated, where are we going to be?
Because you'd rather start now and be pushed back.
Yes.
Like your Ubers, they came to disrupt.
Yes.
And now you're trying to regulate.
Of course.
I wanted to have a comeback on your scooters.
I just want to finish this one.
Kule.
This one, my drones.
Yeah.
When we speak to this guy about my drones, then we speak about flying taxis, he said to us, okay, well, that is similar. Because of you can have a drone flying depending on the size.
Sure.
You understand? So meaning, let me make an example with someone who lives in Sidibeng, Val. You want to catch a plane at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock at the airport. What time must you leave Val to catch a plane at 4 o'clock at the airport? So now, there's no some kind of transportation at that time.
Sure.
In Val to the airport. So meaning we must ask the cousin to take you at 4 o'clock to the airport. So there is no public transport.
Sure.
So now these are the kind of things that we need to think out of the box about. Okay, how do we then come up with things that are convenient for customers and for the future?
I can come in.
Yeah, sure.
So you spoke about scooters and carbon emissions. I was in China last year. I went to go and visit my kids when they were still there. And the amount of scooters on the road there is crazy, where I was specifically in that city, Ningbo. EVs, they're chargeable. And you leave them on the road, by the way. So one of the things...
What scooters were they? Were they EV scooters or what?
EV.
Yeah,
they're
EV,
all
yeah,
EV.
yeah, okay.
Even the type of bicycle technologies they use.
Sure.
It's something that I wanted to suggest while we're here into the future of transportation and mobility. Taking taxi owners, taxi drivers, I don't know who will fund it. It would be nice if it was government.
Sure.
Taking them to some of these countries and cities to just go and observe and experiment so that you open their mind up to come back. Because there, speaking of mobility, we're still speaking drivers. In China, you get to an EV, you go with your phone because everything's on WeChat and all their payments is there.
Sure.
You scan, you pay, you get on it, you drive. Wherever you stop, you leave it. The next person will come. I don't know if it was the MMC of Transport in Johannesburg, tried to do something similar with cars.
Yeah.
The idea of these cars that you go and you swipe your credit card, you get in, and then you drive it to Sandton and you leave it there, whatever. That was the one thing that to reduce carbon emissions, we can look into electric vehicle scooters as a solution. And then another concept for mobility is Elon Musk was looking into 3-dimensional highways, including going down.
Let me respond on this one, EVs. Like I say, you speak to people about these things. They think it's going to happen 10 years to come.
Sure.
That is a negative mindset. EVs are here in South Africa. We do have EVs. I had it for three weeks. It's called Aura. It's from Haval.
Sure.
They borrowed me for 3 weeks. The feel, the technology in that vehicle is out of this world. I do Miliando. There's no start and go.
Sure.
You get in, you press, it goes.
Moves. It's like a
moves.
golf cart.
Yes. You don't go to the fuel station at all. You only go to the fuel station if ukuthi ivili lakho ngathi liyaphanja.
Sure.
Yofake pressure kuphela.
Sure.
They asked me where I stayed. We have been seeing you for the longest time. We know it's an EV.
Yeah, I don't need to fuel up here unless you guys have a charging port.
Yes.
Sure.
So now it's doable. There must be a will from the authorities to make it work. The cars are here. Kwi conversation we had, kwi conference, policy conference. One of the economists said, the infrastructure, talking about the EVs. What about the infrastructure? Talking about ESCOM being off from time to time because of the challenge we have about ESCOM.
And load shedding.
Load shedding.
Yeah.
No, we need not to look at things that way. I disagree. We spoke about load shedding. And then we spoke about the solution. And then the solution was what? Solar energy as an alternative energy. You understand? So now people were encouraged. Businesses were encouraged. Malls, casinos. That's where we operate. We operate in casinos and at malls and all that. We have a relationship with the malls. We have a relationship with the casinos.
Yeah.
So now, in order to make sure this thing it expand, we speak to the casino, we speak to the mall to say, okay, we're doing it as an industry. We're doing this pilot project. Let's go collectively as corporate in terms of investing in this, installing charging points because of this alternative energy.
Sure.
You've never find the casino being closed because of load shedding.
Sure.
So now, why are you talking as if this thing is load shedding? It must stop everything. You understand?
We must innovate and find solutions.
Of course. So now, speaking, like I was saying, speaking to people who thinks things can be done because of their challenges. Those authorities are making decisions.
That's correct.
Making decisions at the parliament, they're making kind of decisions. We would know, it would take 10 years, 20 years. But no, as an industry, we don't believe it to take. Let me make an example. If we have a company that is going to invest in this solar panel or alternative energy, we can speak to municipalities. We go to all the ranks. We revamp my rank. We put solar panels on
100%.
At the ranks. We change the rank. This is part of transformation. We change the rank. It becomes what? A charging point kind of...
for cars, for phones,
yes.
Even maybe for local businesses at the taxi rank.
Of course. Yeah. Local businesses can even pay for alternative energy if there is load shedding.
Yeah.
We can be a supplier of alternative energy.
Yes.
In days whereby now there's a lot of load shedding.
Yeah.
You understand? So now we need to think beyond just saying it can be done.
Sure.
You understand? So there's an ecosystem that I was talking about. It's not only about the vehicle.
Sure.
It's about what connects the whole thing to work. Corporates who are installing these alternative energies, they need to be part of it. Municipalities, because municipalities, they don't have a solution when coming to energy. So since they don't have a solution to come to energy, TNI as an industry in terms of the value chain, let's say, okay, let's partner with a corporate, a company, so and so, to install in our ranks.
And all of a sudden, SANTACO supplying energy to people.
Exactly. Charging points, supplying energy. We stop this thing of thinking, it cannot be done. But manje, if you khuluma ngale nto leyo uphuma from the industry, it's like, how? It's not possible from the industry.
And moving vehicles and wheels can even charge batteries.
Of
just
course.
as a extra way to generate.
Yes, for sure. The thing is now, is a story of egg and chicken.
Sure.
What comes first?
Sure.
So who wants to invest in that project? Then iba inkinga ukuthi ubani ofuna uku-invest kuqala.
100%.
But it's doable. It's doable. As I'm telling you that I drove the vehicle.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about going to China.
No. We've got a couple of brands. BMW, I think. I know Somizi were driving these, and then we've got a couple of hybrids as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now if the government was able to invest with e-toll, why can't you invest with future? That's talking to electric vehicles, because it's every developed country now, they're going that way.
Correct.
So now why can't you then, something that is going to make people cheaper? I spoke to you about my cost to operate within the industry.
Yeah.
You understand? In order to sustain the what you call the operation and the business. So now, how much will that cut? Because of the biggest operation cost is fuel industry.
That's true.
So now, if you can cut that, then we can have an industry that is sustainable.
There's another cost. I want to raise these two things. So I raised the scooters. This is just a side. It's not really asking for comment, but Elon Musk speaks about 3D highways because traffic becomes another inhibitor to the economy and to the transport system, going down, etc. Just things to research. Mm-hmm. When you spoke about flying taxis, I wanted to ask if you have any opinion, because SANTACO at some point wanted to invest in an airline. Again, we're speaking mobility outside of just one instrument.
Yeah,
sure. There was something you said now I wanted to speak to. Solutions.
Cost of operation.
You're saying the cost is fuel.
Yes.
The other cost becomes labor, the drivers.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask your thoughts now. So SANTACO and the airline, I don't know if you have an opinion or any thoughts on that. And then the second one is going to be, we're speaking electric vehicles, we're speaking drones and flying taxis. Your thoughts on self-driving vehicles in the future where now drivers are not even needed anymore. I request a vehicle, it picks me up, there's no human being there, it takes me where I'm going. But now this starts killing jobs as well.
Yeah, well, in every innovation, there will be people who become victims of
casualties.
Casualties. But at the end of the day, there will be people who are getting employed.
Okay.
At the same time. It depends how you look at it.
Sure.
There might be people who are getting employed by assembling those vehicles. There's another market. But if we import those vehicles as they are, then obviously they will work against the industry. But if the industry says we want to be part and parcel of what any innovation, any transformation, then the industry will be able to position themselves in terms of gaining. But it would take long for this country to have a self-driven vehicle.
You believe so? You're going back to this 10, 20 years?
No, well, it depends on the attitude from the government. You know, in terms of regulations, I've experienced is that we spoke about the bill for 8 years.
Before it actually was signed in.
Before it was signed now. It's political. It takes long to do, and we always overtaken by events because of you signing the bill now. There's the new technology already.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And that's what I guess disruption is. It's going against the grain and doing it without asking for permission.
Yes.
Being shouted at, being regulated, but you're already there.
Yes.
I wanted to ask, so we're speaking about labor, just to close off. The other thing I'd like you to touch on is SANTACO tourism and travel.
Yeah.
How do I raise this?
What labor?
There will be new job opportunities.
Yeah.
I've got a personal opinion that technology actually destroys jobs. There are new jobs created, but I think the net effect is always a loss.
Yeah.
These retail stores that are doing deliveries, including your Take-A-Lots and Amazon South Africa has now been launched, they create a lot of jobs. But a lot of those jobs seem to be taken up by foreigners and seemingly undocumented foreigners. We lost our spaza shops in our townships. And I remember at some point I came up with this idea of a solution that imagine if spaza shops were treated like taxis where you get a route, like let's say a street, and kumele kube ushange that has a spaza shop here. And if you don't have an operating license, you can't have one. And you make sure that it's only South Africans in there. And I had a fear at some point that if we ever let foreigners into the taxi space, we'll see South Africans again losing that space. Does SANTACO have a view, an opinion on undocumented foreigners and even documented foreigners that are getting into specifically the meter taxi space, but maybe even over time into minibus taxis and the like? And with the future of mobility and movement coming, outsourcing apps to India, outsourcing support to America, outsourcing the drone tech, where you're saying, but there are new jobs coming. And you're like, but you realize it's foreigners that are taking these jobs. They're here locally and we outsource some abroad. Have you guys had those conversations, or do you have an opinion on those concerns?
The policy conference was talking about attracting youth into our space.
Yeah.
Me, I can speak my opinion, but youth can do a research.
Yeah.
And youth can be part of and parcel of this. If youth can come up with the technology that will assist the industry, we'll welcome that.
Sure.
You understand?
Sure.
Because of what is something that's going to assist the industry. And then there will be no need for us to look elsewhere because of what it will be from within our people.
Sure.
You understand? It will be legacy.
Yeah.
But now, as long as we don't attract youth, as long as the youth is distanced from us, at the end of the day, we'll always think that it's better to take something from outside. Or we're always caught by this thing of we become surprised if someone else is playing in our space. But what we have realized, something that we have not been investing in as the industry, or let me just say all the industries, training. Training.
I love the fact that you emphasized it earlier. You're emphasizing it again. It's everything.
People don't know what is expected of them.
Yeah.
That's why they always blame the next person. We wouldn't like foreigners to take over the industry. We wouldn't like foreigners to be driving those scooters.
Sure.
We would like for our people to be driving those scooters. But training. I'm telling you now, we're doing this with TITA. This training arrangement with TITA project. It's been 2 weeks. We've been marketing it. We've been sending it on the groups for people and come. We got the digital form whereby now they can put their documents and all that. We only reached 100 yesterday.
When did you guys roll it out?
About 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, and only 100.
We only reached 100. 2 weeks.
We'd have to look at the distribution channels.
I was telling the guys that this is only for South Africans. But if this was open, we'll have 3,000 Zimbabweans
that have already signed up.
The attitude of the entitlement.
You're right.
And questioning things before they happen. Ushanga uzotholani kule nto le? Why ushanga silethela le nto le?
Ufuna ukudla imali ngathi.
Ufuna ukudla imali ngathi. You understand? But you send that to, I'm not talking against our own people.
Sure, but we're speaking reality.
Reality. We send that to people who are desperate, who came to this country being desperate, who want anything to survive, who don't have an aunt to call for bread.
They're not getting a grant.
They don't.
The RDP.
Those people, they do anything to try and be relevant, or anything that says come and join something. You understand?
I love that word you used, attitude. I spoke to a Somalian businessman here in South Africa.
Yeah.
He came here as a young child, illegally. He's now sorted out his papers, etc. I don't know how he went about that. And he works with a group of Somalian business people. And I asked him, what do you think is the biggest difference between you guys and South Africans? And he said, attitude.
Yes. Yes.
He says Somalians don't like the idea of having things done for them. And in his opinion,
Yes.
he reckons the reason the USA keeps bombing Somalia and fighting is because they're trying to give Somalia aid. And Somalians are saying, we don't want aid. We want you to open up so we can trade.
Yes.
Don't come and make us beggars. Take us seriously, and then
Yeah.
attitude.
No, that's one. If you can change that, then you can win. Even though, you see, the TITA program has been funded by TITA, which is government. We are kind of worried that are the people going to attend? We'll have to push them to attend.
They also want to ask, is there food there? How are we going to get this? Do you need transport?
Food will be there. We're looking at giving the stipends.
I'm just sad because I'm saying that's the mindset. It's not so much that I will walk.
Yes.
I will borrow money and catch taxis.
Yes.
You must transport me there, feed me, maybe even accommodate me. And then after that, you must guarantee me work.
No, my South African colleagues, brothers will be angry with me if I say these things the way they are. I used to run a franchise whereby when you interview.
A franchise, food franchise?
Yeah, food franchise, under Famous Brands, with Wimpy. Where you interview a South African, where a South African will then ask you about what he's going to get from you.
Yeah.
How much are you paying him? And more about his rights.
Sure.
Then you interview a Zimbabwean. A Zimbabwean will say, boss, please, give me this chance. With what I'm going to give, you will be happy with me. And it will be up to you how much you give me.
Yes, yes.
So now you look at this. I mean, you're running a business.
Yeah.
You look at this. The way this person is responding to you, there's no energy. It's about my rights. Yes.
I need stuff transport, etc., etc.
All those things. And then you listen to this one. He wants to make a plan to come and live closer to work in order for him not to be late. And he wants to give himself. And he's saying to you, when ozobona umsebenzi wakhe ukuthi ungakanani for him to get something. Come to work, same thing. Same thing. This one akhuluma ukushayisa. Ukhuluma ukuthi umsebenzi wenziwe yini. This one complain ukuthi isikhathi sakhe sokushayisa sesishayile. So now we this thing of training,
attitude, training, and I want to add maybe culture. We need to create a new culture.
Yes. We're coming from the era whereby now we are oppressed in a way that we think it's somebody else's problem that I'm what I am. I don't have what because of I'm in the zero.
Yes.
You understand? So now, if this is taking this long, is a banking coming to the industry, whereby now the industry was disrupted by Uber. Instead of our young people saying, how can we assist you, industry? They laugh. Yeah. The metre-taxi.
I was one of the people that laughed, by the way. So when you say youth, please point at me as well. Because you guys, and I appreciate you seem open-minded and more practical.
Yeah.
But some of the people in your industry, similar to some of our political leaders, very arrogant, very resistant to change and not very practical.
Yeah.
It's everyone's fault we'll protest. That's why there was violence, burning people in cars, etc., etc.
No, instead of saying, guys, you know what? You guys are struggling now. Here is what we have come up with in terms of the research.
Who's meant to take the first step? So I need to ask this because it's important. Because I know you speak on behalf of an industry and an association.
Yeah.
But if you take yourself out, who's supposed to take the first step? Because again, you guys seem unapproachable. You seem violent. I'm a young person. I'm also just trying to sort out my life. The last thing I'm thinking in my head, let me go to in Samtia.
Samtia.
We go to these guys. Who am I to come and speak? And then Melen Kulman Mdala to try and say, look, we've got innovative ideas. Go to a for sec. So who's meant to take the first step, and how can some of us help you guys have a friendlier face to welcome?
Is everyone's responsibility because of what? We have many challenges in this country. The employment is one of them. So now if we're not becoming creative and see those are my challenges to come up with solutions, then we are actually shooting ourselves. Because
like the spaza shop industry.
Yes.
We lost it and no one ever asked for help and no one ever took a step to say, let's resolve this.
Let's resolve the issues. Because of what? We're looking down at our own initiatives. Let me make an example again in terms of transformation and formalization. I went to a business breakfast, Ibizwe, Tiger Brands.
Sure.
Where we met with stakeholders like Old Mutual, SHFs, and other stakeholders. I happened to come late to the meeting because I had another meeting somewhere. It was full of majority white people. The hospitality, it was more hospitality kind of gathering.
Sorry, hospitality in this country is very dominated by white people. Black people don't know. Tinasazi catering in funerals and weddings. But if people were to actually do a deep dive into professional, corporate, and government catering and hospitality, it's one of the industries that a conversation must be had. Sorry.
Of course. Then I was there, the look. It was a matter of wearing uniform. Okay, now every time I go, I wear SANTACO uniform. They're asking themselves, people, the body language speaks more than
100%.
So now came the time whereby now we had to ask.
They're looking at you like, what's this taxi guy doing here in hospitality?
And I told them, as I stand up, I said, no, I understand that you don't expect, you expect me at the rank.
Yeah.
I understand that. But when you talk about hospitality, Tina, as an industry, we transport people to your hotels.
Correct.
And those people happen to be tourists. And we transport tourists to Kwamaimai. We transport tourists to a hostel. We transport tourists to Vilagazi Street.
Vilagazi Street, yeah.
And we try by all means to protect tourists from going to the hostel, even though they want to go to hostel and have a meal at hostel.
Sure.
Because we don't want to expose them to the informal operation. Instead of formalizing it, we are actually thinking that it must still be there. They come to our ranks. They want a feel of going to the rank.
Of course.
Ma tourist. Bafuna ukudla amakhwenya, bafuna ukuphuza itiye rank.
Nyama yenhloko
and all that.
Yeah.
Instead of you as corporates coming together with us and formalizing that space, we're actually working in
you push us away.
Yeah, you push us away. You're thinking that...
And it's worse for hospitality because you transport all their workers.
Yes, all their workers.
All of their workers use your transport. Yes. You're a big stakeholder there.
Exactly that. Let's think out of the box collectively. Let's formalize the industry. Formalizing the industry is not just about the taxi. It's about this industry employs a lot of people out of the taxi because of the people who they're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they got their children Kuma University who are now professionals.
Yes.
From that container.
Yeah.
And their children, they don't give anything back. They think it's informal.
Correct. You want to get as far away as possible from your mom's container business.
Instead of changing that container to be actually a franchise, to be a real business.
Yeah.
These are the kind of things that we are engaging with formal businesses or corporates in terms of what? How can we then formalize the value chain within the industry? Not in the Bagosi, on a container that is there for 10 years. It has been standing there for 10 years, looking the way it's looking. And there's no kind of renovation or making it look attractive for tourists to come there. So that's why we realize that we play a very big role in terms of tourism. Because of the first person ofikayo la South Africa at the airport, bonnet desk, like taxi, he will go and ask questions.
Yeah.
From that desk or that kiosk.
Yeah.
Ukuthi kwenzakalani kule country.
Sure.
If that person happens to be driven by a driver who has just been employed yesterday, and then this person will ask about Vilakazi Street.
Sure.
Will ask about Soweto or whatever the case may be, the basis of interest.
Yeah.
This driver does not know
anything. Where can I go have a drink? Where can I meet South Africans? Where can I go?
He does not know.
Accommodation?
He's not equipped to respond to this person.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to actually carry himself to a foreigner. He does not know how to sell his country.
Correct.
He does not know what to say and what not to say. You understand? So now, can you imagine if you are a tourist and you come to the country where by now you are being driven by someone who doesn't know anything about his own country, who only depend on a GPS to take you where you want to go.
Sure.
It's the same.
You've missed out on a huge opportunity.
A huge opportunity.
And a huge opportunity for spending.
Yes.
Because some of these corporates and some of these hospitality companies, if they partner with you guys, will ensure that your guys are bringing business to them.
Of course.
And recommending.
Yes, we are a transport service provider. So other people about hospitality, they are in hospitality. They are not in transport. So now we need to work hand in hand to formalize the industry, make sure that we've got right people transporting people.
Sure.
And these people are trained to do that.
Sure.
It's not a matter of what Melenjube, a tour guide. No, it's a matter of what you must know about your country.
Yeah.
And knowing about your country means you can sell your country.
Yes. You might even earn commission.
Yes.
From these guys where you're constantly bringing business.
Yes. That's what the question is. Which, how do we do this collectively?
Yeah.
As we transform the industry, as we recognize that we transporting different people.
Yeah.
It pained me last time when I had a meeting with the guys at the airport whereby now one Madala said, you know what, during the BRICS summit, people were busy. We were also busy. But Tina, Bamamini Bus, we were not busy. Instead, these travel agencies, they were hiring Amadex 8 because
I can imagine the shuttles.
Yeah, the shuttles. Meaning, we are a transport service provider, but we are not playing fully in that space. People are now coming to us on a side, and this for.
Sure.
But that is our space. But now, because of we don't having this conversation. We're not playing it. We're not actually expanding to that territory in terms of tourism.
Yeah.
We don't know what it takes, and we don't know what is there for us. Instead, you'll find that the guy is traveling, or in tourism, traveling from airport to Sunset, will be stopped by taxis there, or the squad.
Yeah.
Hey, why uhamba nabantu?
Sure.
He must explain that, no, I'm a tourist.
Sure.
Then if you explain that I'm a tourist, then you'll find that they're already discomfortable. I'm a tourist.
Yeah.
Being stopped like that, questions, maybe lo muntu uyahlawuliswa nokuhlawuliswa.
Sure.
Can't if kuguthi instead of doing that, we're taking part.
Yeah.
With tourism. We won't do that. Because of what? We are part and parcel of tourism.
Shange, I'd like you to give me a brief profile of who you are, what you do generally outside of SANTACO. You've mentioned iwempi, you mentioned uhamba meeting, nama breakfast. For yourself, I want to commend the fact that you work with your wife. That is something that I need to highlight, and it's something very beautiful. And then after giving us a profile, I'd like you to answer if your colleagues at SANTACO and other associations are as open-minded as you. You can end with that one because there's a follow-up to that. But if you can please tell us who you are.
No.
We're going to be closing this off.
For sure. No. My name
Sibongiseni umfana wase.
Yeah, Sibongiseni umfana wase Showe.
Siyabonga.
Showe is next to Inkandla. You see, from Ubaba Jacob Zuma,
Yes.
sihlukaniswa umgwaqo.
Just one road.
Yeah, just one road.
Okay.
Jacob Zuma is a walking distance.
Okay.
But now it's called Inkandla and it's called Showe.
Showe, yeah.
Because of this
Road.
road. Yeah, I'm from there. I was born and raised there. Partly, I was raised in Soweto when I was very, very young, and then because of my parents, they were with back home when they were here.
Yeah.
It was not like it's their home.
Oh.
And then I had to go to KZN, study there. Ngafunda lapho.
Where were you, Soweto?
Edube.
Edube, okay.
Yeah. And then ngafunda KZN, my primary, and then partly standard 6. It was standard 6. And then I had to
grade 8.
Yeah, I had to come back.
Okay.
Yeah, my father took me back, and then my high school, everything. I think it was 14 that time, 14, 13, and then I spent a lot of my life up until now in Joburg. Yes, and I started working at an early age. My father used to work at the restaurants. So now he would take me on the weekends to go and clean amatafula lapha. It was still an apartheid time whereby abantwana bamnyama ibona ma-clean amatafula for abantwana babelungu abama-waitresses.
Okay. The black kids would clean the tables for the white people and the white kids.
For the white kids, yes. Yeah. So I was working on weekends. Then from there, I started to feel with kunjani ukuthola amatipunyana and all that.
Yes.
And then there was a manager coming from Maputo, a white Portuguese guy.
Sure. Mozambique.
Mozambique. That guy changed that because he didn't know that in Mozambique. He didn't understand why
there's small black kids busy cleaning tables.
Why are you cleaning for them?
Yeah.
Can't they clean for themselves?
This was a white man.
The white man.
From Mozambique.
Yes.
Yeah.
He said, no, man, they must clean for themselves. And then he came and then he looked and then he was frustrated the way things are.
Yeah.
Then he had to fire a lot of people to change the system. And he said, from now on,
yes.
We wait and manage now.
Okay.
And then from there I started to understand what not all white people are bad. It's just a matter of where you are born, where you are raised.
So I missed this. I missed what you were saying. It's only clicking now. There were white waiters and waitresses in the restaurants.
Yes.
But they wouldn't clean the tables.
No.
They would wait on the
You must clean for them.
On the patrons, and then the black person would come and clean the...
Yes.
And this guy came and said, no, this is a waiter.
Yes.
They must clean their own table.
Yes.
Okay.
And
I missed that, sorry.
When we were that time, the Sangene scored.
Yeah.
And uthola ukuthi as zabantwana abafundayo ngena ngama weekend kuphela.
Yeah.
You understand?
You were still in school, so you could only come in on weekends.
On weekends, yes. And then laba babelungu, they would just do this, clean my table.
Yes.
And then you have to clean because of your color, you have to clean. And then when they have to save customers.
Yeah.
It was that time of apartheid. Actually, that's a part of apartheid that I experienced.
Sure.
And then from there, I developed this thing because of over the weekend I would have my own money, my tips and all that.
Yes.
So I developed this thing of entrepreneurship, making your own money.
Yes.
Not depending. But I was studying at Roodepoort College.
Roodepoort College? In the West Rand,
yes, in the West Rand. Studying there, electronic, electrical engineering. We used to grow, the time we were growing up, we were looking at people working as ESCOM, Telecom.
Those were the guys that had made it.
Yeah, but no benefit.
Sure.
So my mom also encouraged me, hey, you must do well in your studies so that you must work for these companies.
Yes.
ube nendlu ikhokhelwa uhulumeni.
100%.
Yeah, I did. I applied. I think it was during N4 when I started applying at Telkom. And then I got interviewed by 3 departments within Telkom. The other one was that phone, normal phones.
The normal phones that we used to have in the house.
In
For
the
children
house,
that don't
yes.
know, we used to have phones in the house
Phone-
connected with the
phone
wire.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other one was that one, public phones. You know, the public phones.
Payphone.
Yeah, pay phones.
Yeah.
And the other one was the one install my servers and the data lines.
Okay.
You see, before it used to be data lines that connects the systems. Yeah.
Sure.
So now I took the one install my data lines because of that one. There was some kind of transformation whereby now black people are now there. It was made for white people on that time.
Sure.
So now that time they were kind of promoting black people to work in those departments that were actually exclusively for white. Because of this ngagibela ama-van ngesikhathi leso besigibela besihamba ngama-golf kuleyo department.
Sure.
Then abagibela ama-van labagibela amapala. Yabo? But now I was very disappointed month end when I had to get my payslip. When I was looking at my payslip, during my interview, they told me about how I was going to get paid, how much I was going to get paid. Then I look at the payslip. I got down the deductions and what. And then I'm saying, it does not make sense to me. You work the whole month, you get paid once. And when you get paid once, someone else is deducting your money.
100%.
Without you having a say.
Yeah.
This does not make sense to me. I went and told my mom, this does not make sense to me.
Yeah. I can't get paid once and people are busy taking my money.
Once a month, every day I'm traveling. I said, no, but no, it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about the circulation of money.
Yeah.
The more I have money in my account, the more I can have choice of moving to there or doing what and what.
Yeah.
This one does not make sense at all.
Yeah.
I'd rather have 100 Rand per day
Sure.
or 50 Rand per day and decide.
Sure.
Rather than wait for a month and have 7,000. It does not make sense to me.
Yeah.
The time it was the time whereby safika ama cell phones.
Sure.
Whereby you'll be given a what you call a car plus a cell phone.
Yes.
Remember those big cell phones? I think it was Nokia. Those big ones.
Sure.
My mom, a phone. And manje bazokuthengela nendlu.
Sure.
That thing nje yonke lento leyo ukuthi I must be happy by being given things ezongenza ngibe trapped to the system that says I'm getting paid. Well, listening to my mom, yes.
Your mom was giving you good advice. It's just your brain and your exposure and your experience was calling for something else.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know what? I had to go back and work on weekends at the restaurant. I was working at Telkom
During the week.
during the week. And on weekends, I had to go back to the restaurants. Because of it made more sense
Sure.
to get money
Yeah.
than not to get money.
So at least on weekends you come back with cash.
Yes.
Everyone is waiting month end when you're like, even weekend, Baba, I'm coming back with cash.
Yes, I had to do that. And then I had to ask Telkom if they can give me something over the weekend to do. I don't want to be idling, not knowing what to do.
Sure.
But also that worked against me because of the more you work on overtime, the more they deduct. And I said, the system, it's not a system that I want to. That's when I started now. My uncle was head my metre-taxis. That's why I started to speak to my uncle and say, you know what? I want to buy a metre-taxi.
Sure.
My uncle said, I know, welcome. No, I went to borrow money because of I had a pay slip, borrow money from Standard Bank. They gave me a personal loan.
Sure.
Then out of the personal loan, I went to buy a Mazda. I don't know if you still remember that Mazda.
Meech.
It was
Sting.
No, that time. Yeah, it was before that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to bought a Mazda. I put it on the road, and I asked my friend that was unemployed
To drive.
I drive, and then ngskofela over the weekend.
Sure.
And in the week, every week there was some kind of extra money
Sure.
that my friend was giving me out of driving. He was employed, and then also I was getting something. And then my brother as well, I involved him, and then I bought other cars. Then my brother was actually running those cars. And then my brother asked me, usafuna ne-Telkom?
Ak.
Yini le engaka lo ithula e-Telkom? Enza ukuthi ulokhu uhleli e-Telkom. Kuthi na siyayenza thina imali outside there. It's informal, but we're making money.
Yeah.
You understand? So when we make our calculations, these guys are actually making more money.
Sure.
Mina got just a formal job.
Sure.
You understand? But no, into engangihlalela e-Telkom food again, security,
Yeah. Benefits.
things like that. Bought a house. It was a repossessed house in West Rand. While my friends were buying very nice houses, I bought a repossessed one. And then my other friend actually laughed at me. Hey, you bought an old house. Then I renovated the house. I sold the house. And then I bought another house. I sold the house. I was buying the insurance. I was buying those
Cars that have been in accidents that have
that
have been taken by insurance companies to scrap yards.
That time the competition was not tight.
Sure.
We didn't have Nigerians that time.
There's Nigerians in that space now.
Big time.
Because I know it's still a big business. I've got friends that make a lot of money from beat up cars and fixing them.
In the Shire,
Yeah.
is working together as blacks.
Okay.
That time we competition it in Mandi. You know what Mandi?
By the way, the Indians are still deep in those businesses.
They go there.
They work directly with the insurance companies.
And then they buy 5, 10 collectively. When you raise your hand, you raise your hand as an individual.
Correct.
But when they raise the hand as a collective.
Yeah, we'll call it a co-op when it's formalized.
Yes. Yeah. So that's part of what made a little bit of cash for me.
Yeah.
Buying those cars, fixing Tengisa, fixing Tengisa, and then house fixing Tengisa.
You are hustling entrepreneurial, taking things, cleaning them up and sending them up.
Yes. And then my father was still working under a white man working as a manager, so he got an opportunity to take over that WIMP, whereby now there was still this thing of saying, okay, the black people will be something like that.
Yeah.
There was a consultant that was called Kula
Finance.
Kula Finance, yeah. Kula Finance was involved there. So now I had to raise money by selling the house to come and assist my father to take over that Wimpy that was owned by white people. So we had to ran that Wimpy for 9 years.
Yeah.
With my father. Yeah, we were running that Wimpy for 9 years. That's how I left the business of working for Telkom because of...
You guys sold the Wimpy later?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was before COVID.
Hey, son. I was going to say you must tell us which Wimpy so we can go support. No, don't tell us because now you don't own it anymore.
Yeah, so... Well, it was an experience.
Sure.
I don't want to go back to...
Wimpy is a very strong brand. Very strong. Famous brands. Kevin Hedderwick and the guys have done phenomenally well.
Yeah, well, it was that moment whereby in the 9 years that we spent there, I think we could have done more with that 9 years somewhere else. Because of when coming to these things, I'm a franchise, you need to be there.
Yeah.
You spend your time there. With that time,
they like owner managers.
Owner managers.
A lot.
I could have done something with that time.
I hear you.
I could have done something. If I look at it, there's no creativity when coming to being a franchise owner.
Sure. You're basically an employee for a master somewhere. It's just, it feels more like a business. You're handling cash.
It's a formal system.
And maybe you can scale, but more than anything, you have to be there running this thing on behalf of a system.
What to do, what not to do.
Sure.
So if you're an entrepreneur and you're a creative person, you wouldn't want to be in that space for the longest time.
They like people who have been in corporate for a long time, who have retired and want
Yes.
something to do.
Yeah, for sure.
You're reminding me now, 2012, when I thought I was going to be rich, I went around buying cars. Mazda Midge, Mazda Sting, Ford Tracer, Corolla, Toyota Conquest.
Yeah.
I started off with 2 meter taxis in Joburg. And then I took the rest of my cars because I had about 10 of them. The rest to Osizwe in Newcastle.
Yeah.
A friend of mine was running there.
Yeah.
I'm a Pela.
Yeah.
I've got an uncle now at Forslow who's also part of some association there.
Sure.
Yamapela. They have a Mavanza, I think,
Yeah.
in that side. So at some point, I also was in the meter taxi business for 2 years before I sold them and I focused on loans. About Mashonis.
Okay.
But it was an interesting time and I'd bump into these guys, Rose, meter taxis.
Yeah.
And what was unique about me, I was young.
Yeah.
I was connected to university students and high school students. So I used to get a lot of that business. Taking kids to Park Station, the airport, picking up kids that had been drinking and partying.
Sure.
So I'd actually forgotten that I was actually a smaller part of your industry for a small time.
No, I need to come back. because
Luto, Baba.
No. Why?
Who must come back?
You.
Aye, Baba, no. Hey, I don't know about that space. I can come in there at your levels to advise and consult and make the industry better.
That's what I'm talking about.
But the owning of vehicles, managing drivers, that stress today is not for me, but it's for other people.
No, you know what? The owning of vehicles is not a working concept anymore.
Okay.
That's why we partnered with, I forgot to tell you that we partnered with Toyota.
Okay.
And also we are in partnership. Okay, we're still discussing. Anytime we might be signing an MOU with Uber.
Okay.
And then Motors, which is Renault. Renault. Do you call it Renault when you pronounce it?
Yeah, when you say it in French, it's Renault.
Renault.
But for Tina, I'm a Renault.
Oh, so we are in conversation whereby now we want a partnership of leasing.
Leasing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we want to continuously having new cars.
Sure. Because that's also what clients want.
Of course. As we're saying, we want to empower our fleet owners.
Yeah.
They must not go to the bank. We must have a system that complements what we are doing.
Yes.
We train people. We train drivers, defensive driving, and defensive driving and advanced driving.
Advanced driving.
Yes. And then we talk to
the transporter, Jason Statham. Sorry.
Yes.
Advanced driving.
Yes, advanced driving. And then we speak to the banks, not to the banks, but to
the dealerships. Okay.
And then we have a working system, kind of a working relationship with all these stakeholders.
Yeah.
So now, and then we manage it that way. We don't own vehicles, we own the operation.
Sure.
So continuously, we have new vehicles.
You're innovating.
Yes,
we never knew this in the past, that sometimes leasing is better than owning.
Of course.
Our brains are always, even a house,
yes,
it's better to own. And
yes.
sometimes the numbers and the maths,
of course,
it's not best.
So now that's where we're going.
Sure.
That's a difference that we're going to make within the industry.
Yeah.
Corporates must be part of us. It must be part of us in terms of what? Coming up with these solutions.
Sure.
And making sure that people are making money. That's why we are confident that drivers will be paid.
Dumagut, I have to shut this down. There are so many other things I want to raise. At least I've written notes here about some of the things you raised. Because I realize if we start again, it's going to take another 2 hours. So I'm going to ask you to please come back.
Okay.
I want to, in some of the issues that you raised, drivers, costs, earnings versus pricing, I wanted to ask your thoughts on nationalization of the industry. You know, we call the minibus in particular, the minibus industry, we call it public transport, but it's not. It's private transport, to be honest. And the idea of nationalizing so that people, drivers in particular, get salaries, maybe benefits, but then how do we incorporate owners? I want to hear some of your thoughts on the BRT. Is it the bus rapid transport? Or Riavai and the likes? Because at some point, SANTACO and the guys were bullying government and the conversation around there and the other side, not just what the media had said. We didn't speak about the airline, but I don't even know if that's for you to raise and what happened to that and the idea of SANTACO, not just drones and flying taxis, but being involved in the airline industry, especially with the loss of SAA, and where we play in that, especially when you look now, At some point, the cost of a flight from Joburg to Durban was almost the same as a taxi from Joburg to Durban. But now it's 1 hour versus 6 hours on the road and inconvenience, and how maybe partnerships in those spaces. This is not going to be for today. It's just things I'm raising so that when you come back, I've got these questions that we recorded. And then there were things that I was hoping to challenge you on, which may not be fair for you, but as the one person in the industry who's coming to come and speak to us, some of the violence in the industry we need to speak about, and innovation beyond that, especially so that young, innovative people are not scared to come into that space. We touched on technology. We can maybe expand on that some more. The role of government and where they're falling short. Because I can tell you now, government leaders watch this platform as an example. So you can use me speaking to me, but getting them to listen to some of the issues that you'd like them to touch on, especially with new leadership coming in. You know, some of our older leaders, whether their time in government because they've stepped down, I think Praveen, Mamu, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, or Ibrahim Patel, and all those guys are leaving parliament. But it's not just retirement. There are leaders who we've lost in terms of we've lost them. They've gotten old. There's going to be new blood coming in, and we don't want new blood coming in with old ideas.
Sure.
So people like yourself need to help them. Tita, how we get that to be distributed.
Sure.
How we get corporates on the table, of which one of the corporates I want us to talk about is SA Taxi. The good and the bad, in my opinion. I'll share my thoughts. There was a deal SANTACO did with SA Taxi, which I think has gone bad. And I think there's something to be discussed there, whether not from you, but from me and my theories.
For sure. No, you're quite correct. But you know, on that part, that is more on the minibus.
Sure.
Of which I will have to bring my head of communication.
No problem.
So,
but I'm raising this.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm using you because you decided to come forward.
Yeah.
And I also know your colleagues at SANTACO are going to be watching this.
Yeah.
So now they want to be like, hey, nongatu ya betu mlojo, or I know Shange, this one is not for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Or maybe Shange, if he invites you back, please address this, raise this. You raised the Tita, you forgot this initiative, you forgot this one. And at least it becomes a more robust.
Yeah, for sure.
And then for your colleagues that are going to be watching this one in particular, I wanted to speak about Dr. Albert Wessels and Wesco and what they've done. I know that daughter was running it at some point. That legacy.
Yeah.
There are certain taxi industry families. I know I mentioned the Kaba family at some point, but there are others that are unknown. And there's good and bad, which we're not carrying that legacy. And maybe... I know Baba Umandla Kaba is the patriarch of the family now. Maybe something like this would be a call for him or his people to be like, hey Baba mkhulu naku khulunywa ngawe la. Maybe he'll be like, awuthi siyozwa lo mfana uthini ngathi, and tell our story as a legacy story along with Omaponya and some of these other families out there. There's so much to uncover. But I appreciate you coming here. I appreciate you saying you guys are open. We're going to challenge you. Myself, other people that I know that are close to me, to come close and say,
for sure,
we'd like to get involved in various ways. If it's not operations, maybe we've got ideas. Maybe who does your finance?
Yeah.
We speak value chain. The fuel stations. We call them corporates, but we need black girls and boys in those corporates as well, working to say, no, my grandfather, I say my taxi, in the metre-taxis, I decided to go into fuel.
Sure.
I decided to go into lithium batteries for electric vehicles. I decided, and we're all working together.
The whole value chain.
So that we don't wake up in 5-10 years and it's no longer owned by South Africans.
Sure. You see the space of SANTACO, the industry. When we look at it from the distance, we think take taxi. And it has become a networking environment. The whole thing about taxi industry is a networking environment. You look at it in different ways.
Yeah.
People going to my clubs and on weekends and all that.
Yes.
Is a networking environment.
Sure.
People traveling from Bulugwane to Johannesburg. People traveling, as we're talking about, I'm a tourist. It's a networking environment.
Sure.
It's not just about a taxi. That's why we look at it as mobility.
Sure.
Yeah.
We need to speak about buses. I don't know where buses fall.
Yeah.
We need to maybe speak about some of the other taxi association. There's NTA.
NTA.
We need to speak about manufacturing.
Manufacturing,
Our own vehicles.
Yes.
You know, the Japanese have beautiful stories. The Toyota family and Toyota. Today we'll speak about Mahindra, Tata. South Korea came out with Hyundai, Samsung, Kia. We need to have our own stories and maybe spark one child, because it takes one person, one child to say, I will build a South African vehicle that will change.
Can you imagine how much data that we use for operating in our app?
Yeah.
The network companies like MTN and Vodacom,
Correct,
being part and parcel. These are the kind of discussions or relationships with companies like Dunlop in terms of tires.
Correct.
But we want these things to be a real working relationship.
Offline, I mentioned Massive. I know DJ Sbu was involved with Massive Metro, but Massive as a company being involved at taxi ranks.
Yeah.
Putting Wi-Fi in taxis, screens, charging ports. And these are conversations we need to have.
It's already happening. Actually, just to touch base, we got a project that we have been running through iGomedia. iGomedia is a company that we're working with, of which I'm part of it. iGomedia is a company that is going to put screens within the vehicles. Those screens at the back of
the driver's seat.
Yes. Sure. So there'll be different companies marketing there.
Okay.
Paying for the for marketing in that space.
Sure.
And then there'll be incentives to the owner of the vehicle.
Sure.
So we're cutting down on our cost to operate because we're giving you something for putting screen lapper.
Sure.
At the same time, this system, it works in terms of advertisement and also there will be Wi-Fi inside the vehicle. So now it benefits the owner, also the passenger, also the corporate that will be
100%.
advertising. That's why I'm saying the industry has become a networking space.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shange, Tumagute, Ndima, thank you so much for coming through. I'm looking forward to us having more of these conversations on camera and off camera.
Okay.
Because this industry is so important to all our lives. I think over 75% of South Africans in some way or another work, they commuted by your industry by your association. And hopefully we can get government, whether this administration or next one, to start coming to the table and taking us seriously.
Yeah.
As much as the world is changing and there's disruption, there's certain disruption that mustn't happen without our consent. Because if it's not going to be benefiting our people, it doesn't matter what technology you bring into the country. We'd rather keep it out. China has shown us this, that you'd rather keep out certain technology if it's not going to benefit our people, but going to milk money out.
For sure.
You're either coming in to collaborate and work with us, or we're going to keep you out. And if this current government won't do it, we're going to need future leaders who are going to have to find ways to do that.
Exactly that.
Any closing words before C. Shy Pants?
All I can say is we need more exposure in terms of this initiative of training people.
Yeah.
As we have started with TITA as some tier. So we need more of awareness in terms of people understanding the benefits and people being part of this other than thinking that it's something for the few. We're doing this in order to change the environment and also to make sure that people are real beneficiaries within the industry itself, not spectators, not operating at the tail end of the industry, but they're seeing the sustainability of the industry. I know for sure that there's been negative talks about the e-hailing space in many times, and it was seen as if meter-taxis are fighting with the e-hailing drivers or the minibuses, they don't like e-hailing drivers. But now, through the platform of some tier, we want to change that mindset.
Please.
Yes.
Sibongiseni Shange, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, sure.